If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Today's Wednesday, November 20th. And, man, there's so much shit going on. But first of all, welcome to IGH Going Rogue. We are fucking going rogue. As you can see, we are ready. We are prepared. And we're not fucking around. So there you go. Man, there's so much shit going on. The president continues to add Avengers to that amazing team. This illegal animal that... they killed that poor young girl, was sentenced and found guilty on every single count about an hour ago or so. So hopefully that guy will maybe not rot in jail, but he will be, shot, decapitated, burned alive, something. I think that's probably the only justice that could be served at this point. And in order to talk about all this stuff, including Bragg in New York, we have a good friend of ours, Rod Widstadt, former Navy JAG, business entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, very successful in his own right. Very cool stuff about him. He's an author. He's got a decoy collection, which is second to none, and a lot of collectibles from the Civil War, I believe. It's Civil War, right, Rod?
That's correct.
Well, welcome to IGH Going Rogue, dude. You know the rules. Truth bombs, F-bombs, no bullshit, so let's fucking go, bro.
All right, man, let's go.
Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with that dipshit up in New York?
Wow, Alvin Bragg. I mean, I've got to be careful what I say on the record about another attorney, but the fact that he ran on a platform to get one particular defendant in my world, that makes him ineligible to even be the district attorney in the state of in the city of Manhattan.
Yep.
The fact that he has, abused his powers. I mean, I could run for state's attorney here in Baltimore County on, the idea that I was going to bring Hunter Biden to justice here. When he traveled back and forth from Wilmington, Delaware to Washington, D.C., he crossed into Baltimore County. And I could basically use that type of jurisdiction to bring a charge against him. But that's not the way the courts are supposed to work. You don't run for a position as the state's attorney, or in New York, they call it the district attorney. We here in Maryland call it the state's attorney, to go after one person because you don't like them. It's just wrong.
That should be illegal, frankly. I mean, I don't know how that was allowed. Obviously, the judge is a piece of shit, but, that's another story.
So, it's probably unethical. And if I were a member of the New York bar, I would certainly consider bringing an ethics charge against him. The problem is it's going to fall against deaf ears, Yeah,
because in any other circumstance, that guy would probably be disbarred by now, right? I mean,
he would. I think that it's probably on the judges of the court there to have him removed. But again, they're not going to do that.
So what happens now? So what's going to happen now? So this guy wants to shelf this for 4 years so he can go get bad, mean Trump in 4 years after he's done. That's in essence what he wants to do. Merchan has to make a decision. Obviously, the Trump team has filed for a dismissal. Where do you see this going?
Well,
and realistically, right? Walk us through
Bizarro world.
Yeah, so walk us through the steps and what they mean for everybody who's not a lawyer, so they understand it.
Well, it's pretty simple. Let's take out the politics for a second.
Yeah.
So somebody, that being Trump, let's just call it him somebody, was convicted of, after a jury trial, of 34 felony charges. Okay, so you've got a conviction standing over your head. He has not been sentenced yet, and there are post-trial motions pending, including an appeal. And unusual in this case is that the Supreme Court had a case before it that was about the immunity of the sitting president. And that kind of put a monkey wrench into this entire prosecution. Bragg and, unfortunately, Mershon, being partisan individuals, they didn't lose a step on that, and they continued to, plow ahead, full steam ahead. So right now you have a defendant who has been convicted, has an excellent, motion to dismiss pending before the court. If this was a rational judge, and unfortunately, I don't think we have a rational judge, those charges would be. Now, look, I haven't studied it, intently, but those charges should be dismissed under the immunity portion of the Supreme Court's decision. So, but we don't have a rational district attorney. We don't have a rational judge. Certainly, this judge has a way out of this case right now, which would be dismissal. And once it goes on appeal, let's just put aside the stay of 4 years, which probably violates constitutional rights of speedy trial. That's not exactly the way the speedy trial rule reads. It's the speedy trial. I think you could probably bootstrap that includes a speedy sentencing as well.
Yep.
But that's it still is unheard of to
hold a sentence
in abeyance for 4 years. So put that aside. His appeal should be successful.
So, because there was an appeal, right? And there were comments that actually got out to the press about the appeals, that they're beating the crap out of this guy, going, "What the hell is this? This has never been done."
It hasn't ever been done. I mean, they took charges that were outside the statute of limitations in the district or in the state of New York.
Yep.
And bootstrapped them into federal charge, or used a federal statute to bootstrap them to get around the statute of limitations. Those federal charges were ones that the Department of Justice had declined to, prosecute earlier.
Right.
And look, let's think about that for a second. The Southern District of New York declined to prosecute.
Right.
So what that decision was, I don't know, but it had to be well thought out. Okay, there's a reason they did not prosecute, and it probably was not partisan.
Right.
It probably had to do with, as a district attorney or state's attorney, you just can't bring charges and hope that they stick. You have to have a reasonable basis in the law to file charges. Okay,
you got to have a real case. Right.
You do. Look, litigation is expensive. Most people can't afford to litigate, and that defense. President Trump's defense probably cost, I'm guessing, but in the $2 to $3 million range. Imagine the average person gets hit with, like down in Georgia, for example.
Yeah.
Those prosecutions, those defenses.
That's why they all pleaded out, right? Because they'll bankrupt them.
Some of the weaker defendants who pled out probably in exchange for a deal to testify. They pled out, but look, it's very expensive to hire lawyers and defend a case. It's very expensive. It's funny, 20 years ago when I had what I used to call a street practice of law, and before we even ever thought that Donald Trump would run for president, my brother and I, we used to say, you don't have the money to be able to litigate on principle. Okay, there's only one person who can do that. That's Donald Trump. He can litigate on principle. Like, litigation is expensive.
Yeah. And
the average person cannot afford to litigate. For example, the Marine who's being charged by Alvin Bragg, which is another joke of a prosecution. I heard today that there was a defense fund that was raised, and over $2 million was raised to hire those attorneys to defend him. $2 million to defend that that charge.
Yeah, no, the Trump defense team had to have cost more than $2 million, bro. They
Yeah,
had a ton of
a
lawyers,
lot of money.
a ton of the top lawyers, and from many different firms, not just one firm.
Right. It's a lot of money. Money that's out of reach of most Americans.
Yeah.
There's only a few people.
And that's what they probably banked on, right? They probably said, you know what, we're going to fucking crush him. We're going to outspend him. We're going to force him to spend. If he's not liquid, he's not going to be able to pay. And we're going to bankrupt him. You know.
Well, that certainly was what Letitia James's, strategy was in the civil case.
Yeah.
Because as we saw prior to Truth Social going public, he had a hard time raising that the amount of money to file that appeal. Now that's an unusual way that works. So in that case,
she wanted the full boat, which is bullshit.
Right. It's called a supersedious bond, and you basically have to put the full amount of the judgment up in a bond, and no one's going to bond that, okay? Unless a bond is normally 10% or whatever, but no one's going to bond $150 million, judgment without charging $150 million. And by the way,
originally it was 415 or whatever it was, and then they cut it down. Right.
Then they cut it down.
Yeah.
They cut it down. But so who's going to bond that? Nobody. And let's say you did find a bonding company who was willing to bond $450 million. Their premium was $450 million, which means that money is gone. Yeah. Okay, you're putting that money up as a premium. So the whole
it's
thing
set aside. It can't be touched. It can't be used for collateral. It can't be used for anything. Right? You're done.
That's right. It's gone. That is the insurer's fee to place that bond. Yeah. So liken it to a bail bonds when the average Joe gets arrested on the street and the judge sets $100,000 bond. A bail bondsman comes in and generally charges 10%. Okay, they put up the $100,000 surety in exchange for $10,000. The defendant has to pay $10,000. That's a premium. That is an insurance premium. It's non-refundable. It's owed to the insurance company. So that's kind of the way a supersedious bond works as well.
That's crazy, bro.
It's crazy.
So what happens? What recourse does Trump have if they don't dismiss the case?
Well, it's going to go up on appeal.
All right, so he just continues going through the courts.
That's right, to the appellate process.
So, as president and obviously his attorney general, they can't crush the case.
No, that is a state matter. It's just like the matters in Georgia. If we're talking about that's kind of along the lines of presidential pardon. Remember, the president can only pardon someone charged with a federal crime. The governor of the state in New York could step in and say, it's gone.
He could, but via pardon, not via another way.
Correct.
So he would have to pardon Trump. He wouldn't.
Correct.
He can't dismiss the case.
Well,
just so people that are not attorneys understand, because there's so much misinformation out there, Rod. You know this. I mean, we have very similar social media circles, and we see the amount of stupidity that people post out there, man. That's why I think it's important to, make it clear. And I think some of the analysts on TV, dude, they dance around and go through so many fucking rabbit holes instead of just being clear.
The law is never black and white. Okay, so there are other things the governor could do. The governor could exert some political pressure on the attorney general and on the district attorney. There's commutation of sentence. The president or the governor has the ability to commute a sentence. So the governor of New York could say, all right, the sentencing has happened. He's been sentenced to 1 day. I, as a governor of New York, commute that sentence to 0. Or he could issue a flat-out pardon.
Got it. So that's it. And so right now it goes to the appeals, right? What happens there? Suppose he loses. What happens then?
So I don't know how many levels of appellate courts there are in the state of New York.
One.
In Maryland, we have 2 levels. Okay. Let's assume there's just one level.
Yeah, that's what I had heard.
So, if the president were to lose in the appellate New York courts, he would then have the right to request what's called a writ of certiorari to the United States Supreme Court. There's only a couple ways to the Supreme Court, and through the state action, through the highest level of a state court, you have to exhaust your appeals, which that would be in the New York state courts, the state appellate courts,
Yep.
and then he would seek. It's not an automatic appeal. The Supreme Court does not have to take it.
But I would imagine they probably would, considering the circumstances, that it was a total political hack job.
Well, no, that's not what they would consider. So they consider more of it would be a case of first impression. Okay.
What does that mean?
That means the court has never seen a case like that before. Okay. And those are the types of cases that the Supreme Court likes to take, cases of first impression, because then they can create law. Okay. And an opinion of the United States Supreme Court is law. It is the law of the land. We saw it in Roe versus Wade.
Yep.
And then, when that case was overturned, that is the law of the land. The Supreme Court, through its opinion, sets forth what the law is.
Interesting. So let's go into your background a little bit.
Yep.
You went to law school where? Well, talk to us. You went to undergrad, you went to law school, then you joined the Navy. So walk us through that.
I did. So originally, before I was in law school, I was talking to the Navy. I wanted to be a spook. Okay, I wanted to be a spy, and I was talking to them, and I was commissioned before. Let me think. When was that? I think my original commission, which was signed by the first President Bush. And interestingly, his Secretary of the Navy, Lawrence Garrett, which we can get into a little bit of that. It's kind of an ironic thing in my career. But I was commissioned into the regular Navy, and I was going to go into naval intelligence.
Nice.
I then got accepted into law school, and, why am I going to law school and, not being a lawyer? So I got recommissioned as an ensign in the United States Navy Reserve as a JAG officer.
Yeah.
And there's a difference.
As a jag-off.
Yeah, so we're staff. We are staff officers. We are not line officers, which basically means that if I was on a ship and every officer except myself was, killed in battle, even the highest enlisted person would have rank over me as a line officer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I can't take command of a ship as a staff officer. So
Gotcha.
I wish I would have known that, because I was being recruited by not only the Navy, but also the Marine Corps. And, the Marine does not make that distinction. You are a line officer. I should have been a Marine. The recruiter was telling me, and that's, I look back in my life and think, what do I regret in life? And not going into the Marine Corps and going in as a Navy JAG is definitely high on that list of regrets. I should have been a Marine. I should have been a Marine officer. So,
Gotcha.
anyway, so I get on active duty. We go to knife and fork school. Basically, it's up in Rhode Island. It's in the summer. They teach you basically how to be an officer and a gentleman. There's nothing physical about it. They have the PRT, which is a physical readiness test.
So you don't have to go to like OCS or any of that stuff.
No, there's no drill
camp.
no drill sergeants yelling at us. I mean, we're commissioned officers. We basically go up there and we're taught how to salute, how to get in and out of cars.
How to get in and out of cars. Dude. Yo, shit. This I gotta hear, bro.
Yeah, how to get, because if you're with a superior officer, you can't jump the line. You can't jump out, right? You have to show them the respect first. I mean, it went so far as when you should leave your calling card at the admiral's home if he has single daughters.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's all very formal. Again, we called it knife and fork school. It was Officer Indoctrination School, OIS, and it's there's only one. It's in Newport, Rhode Island. We lived in basically dorms. I was in there with Navy doctors, nurses, hospital administrators, dentists, you name it. It was men and women. Pretty much all of us were single, so when the lights went out in the dorm, you could hear the doors open and pitter-patter of feet running up and down the hallway into other people's dorms. There was a lot of fooling around that went in there for sure.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, it was a really good time. We were in Newport, Rhode Island, and we ended up renting a house on Martha's Vineyard that summer. And when we would get Liberty on Friday afternoons, we'd run up to Woods Hole, which is where the Coast Guard base is. We'd park there on the Coast Guard base and then jump on a ferry and head over to Martha's Vineyard. And the cool thing about it was during the first Gulf War, and we were all in uniform. We'd be in our Navy whites because it was summertime. We'd get on that ship, and man, I could not buy myself a drink all weekend long. So many vets coming up to us, and they're like, "No way is an active duty, guy buying a drink." And we were treated like royalty on Martha's Vineyard. It was a lot of fun.
That's great, man. And I'm sure a lot of fun stories with the gals too.
Oh yeah. They were, the Navy nurses were there. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time. We stayed in a place called the Kelly House, which interestingly, when I called, it's a hotel right there in Edgartown, which is right by where Kennedy killed that young woman back in the.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I digress there. So I called reservations, and I was talking to the young lady who was the manager, the desk manager, and somehow I don't remember how she found out, but she found out that we were Navy officers. Her brother was in the Navy at the time, and she ended up giving us a great rate for the summer. We ended up basically renting a hotel room for the entire summer.
Awesome.
And yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. And then I had to return up there after I graduated from law school and passed the bar, which was, I got my bar results in December of 92. I had to return to Rhode Island that winter, and it was a cold winter for Navy Justice School. And Navy Justice School is just kind of teaching you how to do court-martials, essentially.
And I was going to ask you about that. I'm sure you have a ton of stories as a JAG. What courts do you defend people?
So I took a different path than most Navy JAGs. Most of the time, once you finish Justice School, you go into the NILSO, which is the Navy Legal Service Office, or something. Yeah, NILSO, Navy Legal Service Office, and you write wills and stuff like that. I got assigned to appellate defense, which was in Washington, D.C. So our job was to represent convicted sailors and Marines who had been convicted at court-martial. We represented them. That they had a two-tier appellate system, like I was talking about before. So they had the Navy Appeal Court, and then they had, of course, civilians always oversee the military. So first there's a Navy Appeals Court, and then there was a higher court called the Court of Military Appeals, which is made up, I think 9 civilian justices.
Wow.
So I practiced both in front of the Navy Marine Corps Court of Military Appeals, and then the Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces, and then of course the United States Supreme Court.
So you have litigated in the Supreme Court. That's amazing.
So yeah, I've filed. I think I have one of them here in my desk. I filed 2 writs of certiorari. That's what we talked about before, a writ of certiorari, which basically means a request to the court. I filed 2 of them when I was on active duty. Both writs were denied, which is fine. Yeah, here it is. I got it. Actually, I think I have both of them here in my desk. I kept one copy of each. So let me see here. United States Supreme Court, Kano Reed, which that's a very interesting case. and then which one was this?
That's cool, man.
Andrews. So these are the actual writs that were filed in the court. And wow. I'll tell you a little side note.
Yeah.
And this was 1993, and we used the government printing office to do these. You had to file, I'm not kidding you, I think it was close to 300 copies in the United States Supreme Court. Yeah. Remember, there's 9 justices. Each of them have about 5 law clerks.
Yeah.
So they all got to get one of these. But not only that, they send them out to every law school in the United States.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No. No. And the printing alone, just on my brief, on mine, and this is just, hey, court, I'm asking you to
take a look.
Take a look. 1993, it was $40,000 in printing costs.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I did 2 of these, and, a lot of the lawyers in the office wanted. There's probably 15 of us in the office, and we're always trying to get into the Supreme Court.
Right, of course.
We had 2 cases that did get cert granted while I was in there. I was not counsel on those, although I helped with them. One of your previous guests, Dave Jonas, who was my boss.
Yeah, Dave.
He actually argued in front of the Supreme Court on one of the cases that we got cert granted. And look, Dave, it's funny. Look, so you can't see this, but there's Dave's name. He had to be lead counsel on this.
Put it closer.
I don't know if I was.
I heard there. Oh man!
Yeah,
wait, to the center. Yeah, there it is. David Jonas.
And then there's my
Major.
Second.
Oh, there he is, Roddy.
I may not have been a member of the Supreme Court bar back then because they have some time limits. You probably had to be a lawyer for 5 years before you could apply to the Supreme Court, which obviously I eventually did. And then Dave was not.
That's great, man. That's very cool stuff.
Yeah. So
one of these, framed, bro.
One of these, the facts were just insane. Here, I'm going to read you the issue. Just silliness that this was the issue that we raised before the United States Supreme Court. Does the United States Constitution prohibit the criminalization of private, non-commercial, consensual, adult, heterosexual oral sex?
What the fuck?
My client was convicted of getting a blowjob.
You're kidding me, bro.
No. Sodomy is a crime under the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
He was convicted for getting a blowjob, what, from like a hooker or a
underage
person or what?
From his wife.
What? He got court-martialed for getting head from his wife.
He did.
Get the fuck out of here. How did that happen, dude?
Well, okay, so...
there's got to be a backstory. The wife...
There is. That's
why I said I don't know what happened. Jesus.
Funny case. So there's consensual sodomy and unconsensual sodomy, okay? And this one was consensual, okay, because he pled guilty to consensual sodomy. The facts were a little bit different, and I had to drop a footnote. I always laugh when I read this footnote. I'm going to put my glasses on.
Oh, my God, bro.
Okay. The victim, I'm going to leave her name out, testified during the sentencing portion of the court-martial that her performing fellatio on petitioner was not fully voluntary. Okay, so the facts were that this guy, my client, he's in a fight with his wife, and he ties her up to a chair.
Oh my God!
Right, and he says, basically,
either
you do this, or
you're going to tie you.
Right. You're going to sit in this chair all weekend long, and so she did it. And after he released her, she went to Navy Criminal Investigative NCIS and reported him, and he was charged with involuntary sodomy. Ended up pleading to voluntary sodomy, and then we took this case to the Supreme Court.
Oh my God, bro!
And remember when I was talking about cases of first impression? Well, this one was not a case of first impression. This is one where there was There were different rulings in the different states. Some states had that as a crime. voluntary sodomy. Sodomy is not just anal sex; it's oral sex too. Okay. Some states said it was a crime, and others didn't. So the request for the Supreme Court was to make law and say whether or not is that a crime or not.
I can't believe that today and age that can be a crime anywhere. I mean, voluntary.
Well, here in the state of Maryland, blowjobs are not. It's not illegal.
What?
It's not illegal.
Oh, it's not illegal. Okay.
Yeah, so but there are some states where it is illegal, including the Navy.
Oh my God, bro!
So we were asking the
Supreme probably for like homosexuality, right? Back in the day.
Well, so I represented quite a few gay men in the military who were court-martialed for.
Back before Don't Ask, Don't Tell and any of that stuff, right?
Yeah, so that was all. So Clinton was president when I went on active duty, and that was all the big issue there. But I represented, and I swear to God, I represented a enlisted sailor. No, you know what? He was an officer. His last name was Fagg, F-A-G-G.
Oh, my God, bro.
Right? And that case went up on appeal, not to the Supreme Court, but went into this other case, and it was cited as United States versus Fagg. Okay?
Oh, my God.
And I was reading this record of trial once, and this trial lawyer was saying,
out laughing.
Yeah, well, this trial lawyer was saying to the military judge, the Fagg case says this, and the Fagg case says that, right? And the judge goes, counsel, I would appreciate if you would not use derogatory terminology in my courtroom. He goes, Judge, the case is United States versus Fagg. It's a reported opinion.
Oh my God.
You can't make that shit up.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, dude. So the funniest one the funniest homosexual case that I ever heard was these two young men. They were down at Marine Corps basic training, and they did not like basic training. The guy, it was just too hard, right? So he goes to his company commander, and he's like, sir, I need out of the Marine Corps. I don't like this. And the guy's like, get back to your barracks. So then he comes in the next day. He goes, sir, I want out. I'm gay. And the company commander's like, get the hell out of here. Go back to your barracks. So this dumbass, goes back to his barracks and then goes to the Navy Exchange and buys a Polaroid camera.
He does what?
A Polaroid camera.
Okay.
And he gets his buddy, and those two do everything you could possibly do to each other. And they photograph it, right?
Holy shit.
He goes into his company commander's office. He's like, sir, I told you I was gay. Here's the proof. And the company commander's like, you're getting out of the military, all right. You're getting out by way of a court-martial. They court-martialed both of those guys. They went to, dude, they both went to Leavenworth. They got
They went to Leavenworth?
Yeah. That's the military prison.
Yeah. That's like hardcore too, right?
What's that?
That's like hardcore.
Well, it's just a prison. Okay.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like heavy labor or whatever. Breaking.
No, it used to be years ago, but no, it's just it's a military prison. It's right next to the federal prison in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. It's called the United States Disciplinary Barracks. They're still there. I visited there once to visit another really twisted defendant client of mine, which I'll tell you a little bit about him. But their convictions were affirmed on appeal. I mean, they did their time. And
how long did they serve?
Like 3 years.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. While Clinton was president. Dude, while Clinton was president, and they were trying to change all that stuff.
Oh, my God, bro.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what's the craziest shit you've seen that you can talk about? I guess you can talk about anything, right? Because it's all public record anyways.
It is. So we had to go out to Fort Leavenworth. I was out there probably in like 94. We flew out Andrews Air Force Base in the morning. I'd never been on a military plane before. It was like a commercial plane. They actually had, the Air Force it was young ladies. It was not young men. It was young enlisted Air Force members who were basically stewardesses. And, we get on this air. I expect it to be like, in the back of some like transport plane, right? I'm sitting in first class in this, U.S. Air Force jetliner, and we fly out to Fort Leavenworth, and we were given a tour, and I had to visit a client. I'm not going to tell you his name because the facts of this case are truly fucked up. This guy was a sick child molester. Okay,
what?
His kids were so. Oh, dude. So as it turns out, I ended up getting a reputation for having, especially in murder, rape, and child molestation cases.
Oh my God!
Yeah, dude. Look, I'll show you this picture. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's a murder scene. See his brain coming out of his head.
Holy shit, dude!
Yeah. So we can talk about that one. But so this one guy is out in Leavenworth, and the killer on that case was out in Leavenworth as well. But this guy, when he had lived in the Philippines, and remember they had they had closed the 7th Fleet, the Philippines, Subic Bay, I think in about 1990 or 91. Okay,
just done. Yeah.
So all those guys who were stationed Philippines, came stateside. And so did my client, and he was stationed in San Diego. And he had teenage daughters, and, they were attending American school, and, start talking. And eventually everybody finds out that dad has been abusing these girls for years.
God, bro.
For years and years and years. And so I get his case on appeal. I mean, he got hammered at court martial. He's still in Leavenworth, which is where he belongs.
Yeah.
And we're talking, he was convicted in like 91. Okay, so he's still in Leavenworth.
That guy's never getting out, man. Jesus, I hope.
He got like, I don't know, 65, 70-year sentence, and he deserved it.
Yeah.
Now remember, I'm defense counsel, and I'm saying he deserved it. Okay, so you got to understand something. I'm defense counsel. Like, my job is not necessarily to try to get you off. It's to make sure you had a fair trial. Okay? And
as a JAG.
Well, look.
Commercially speaking, dude, your attorney, you hire your attorney to get you off, right? I mean,
correct. But sometimes when they're guilty, okay, your job is simply to make sure that they get a fair trial. Okay, you do everything you can, but your job is to make sure.
Come on, bro. I mean, look at fucking OJ.
So this guy, he's convicted at court martial. He gets just hammered in sentencing. He's out in Leavenworth, and I get him on appeal, and I start reviewing his record. And here's the thing that was fucked up. He had like 3 non-judicial punishments on his record. And non-judicial punishments are generally used by commanding officers for kind of low-level crimes, right? Guy's a good sailor, but he fucked up, and we're going to give him what they call NJP, which would include reduction in rank. It could include restriction to base. It could include a monetary fine, or any combination of those things, right? Not prison. It's not a conviction. Okay, it's not a criminal charge.
And, in the Philippines, you can imagine what this guy was probably doing out there, too, to others.
So I see he's got like 3 NJPs for assaulting his daughters. Right?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Wait, what? Why wasn't this guy court-martialed back in the Philippines? And I was told by older officers that they applied the mere Filipino rule. And I'm like, what? And they're like, the victims were mere Filipinos.
What does that mean?
Subhuman. Like, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Mere Filipino. Because, this is unfortunate reality. When you go to Asia, sex over there is a completely...
Yeah, dude. I mean, and it's like the underage stuff is rampant, right?
It is. I mean, the bars, and I've never been to Asia, but we all know what goes on over there. Yeah. But so when I say daughters, they were my client's stepdaughters. Okay, they were Filipino girls, and basically I was told that the CO of the base applied the mere Filipino rule to my client.
So he knew about it.
Yeah, the Navy knew about it. They knew this guy was a serial rapist and did nothing about it. So he gets back to the United States, and things are different back here. Like, I mean, he got hammered by a court martial out here, just hammered. And like I said, he's still in Leavenworth, which is where he belongs. So that was one of my cases. That was a crazy one when I found out the mere Filipino was.
Any murders, things like that?
Well, yeah. So this one right here,
the brains blown out.
Yeah, this one. So this one is kind of a crazy case. So my client had gone to non-judicial punishment before he went on a cruise. I don't know what he had done. He'd done something in Norfolk, something stupid. Maybe told an officer to fuck off or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so he goes to non-judicial punishment, and his CO restricts him to the base for, I think it was 60 days. That was his punishment. Okay, you can't leave the base for 60 days. So anyway, he'd served out a lot of it, and then the ship gets deployed. Okay, so ship goes to Rota, Spain, and I guess it's like a 15-day cruise over to Rota, Spain. And my guy, when he gets to Rota, his restriction is up, so he's allowed off the ship. And the captain had thought that his crew had done such a great job while they were on their cruise that he did this thing called beer on the pier. So when the boat hit the pier, he had prearranged a party for the crew when they got liberty. Okay, so I don't remember, but he had like 100 cases of beer waiting for the crew when they hit Rota. And my guy is off restriction, so he's allowed off the ship, and of course he just starts drinking right away. I mean, just pounding beers. He said he had $45 in cash in his pocket, and beers were $1 a piece.
Oh my God!
And when they searched him, he didn't have any money on him. Okay, so we don't know how many beers he drank, but he could have drank as many as 45 beers.
Holy shit!
Right, so he's completely fucked up. Anyway. He comes back.
Rod, wait 1 second. We got to go to commercial pause.
All right.
Mr. Producer, let's go.
Because of your overwhelming support, our 1488 MyPillow has been one of the biggest sales in MyPillow history. I couldn't think of a better way to say thank you than to extend our wholesale pricing through Christmas. Get a classic standard MyPillow for only $14.88. Upgrade to a queen size, just $18.88. King size, only $1 more. Get my body pillows for only $29.88. And ready? Multi-use My Pillows, only $9.88. It's perfect time to stock up for Christmas gifts for everyone on your list. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our wholesale pricing, including my classic standard My Pillows, only $14.88. But that's not all. I'm so confident you're going to love our classic My Pillows that I'm going to extend my 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2025. Plus, orders over $75 ship absolutely free.
All right, don't forget, mypillow.com, promo code IGH. And also, if you have not seen the Enemy Within docuseries, you have to watch it. It's Patrick Byrne's story about, he's a founder and CEO of Overstock.com, how he was used by the intel community to set up Hillary Clinton with an $18 million bribe. And they were going to use that so Obama could control her for the 8 years. And when she lost, how they used him during the whole Russian hoax. And it goes very into detail about all that. You got to watch it. EnemyWithinDocuseries.com, promo code IGH for a discount. Hey, Rod.
Yes, sir.
There you go, brother. All right, let's go, man.
Okay, so this guy is completely fucked up. He comes back to the ship and he gets in his rack or, his bed. And you got to imagine in your head, if you can, for a minute, what the sleeping areas are like on board a ship. They're really tight. They're usually bunk beds in the enlisted area. They're usually bunk beds that are 3 high. Okay?
Yep.
And, there's probably 3 sets of 3 high racks, so 9 guys in one, sleeping area.
Wow.
So my guy is on the top rack of one of those, one of those bunks. And he's so fucked up that in the middle of the night, he gets up and he's got to take a piss, but he's too fucked up to do it. So he stands at the rack and whips his dick out and starts pissing on the guy in the lowest.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, the guy in the lowest rack. Of course, he wakes him up, and they get into a scuffle, and they're separated. And it's probably about 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. So the guy who got pissed off or got pissed on, decides to put his uniform on and go to his workspace, a little bit early. Okay, so and my client gets back in his rack and goes to sleep. So the guy got pissed on, goes into his little workroom, which I can show it to you in this picture. If you don't, you can see that's him laying on the floor dead, but that's his little workspace. Okay,
Wow.
On board it. This is a war vessel, so that's a typical place
Look
where
at the fucking brains hanging out. Jesus.
Well, yeah, so we'll get to that. It's horrible. So anyway, he goes into his workspace and he sits on a small chair and he puts the TV on and has a cup of coffee. Okay, and I'll tell you how we know that. But so of all the movies in the world that he puts on, he decides to put on Faces of Death. Remember that movie?
No.
You've never seen Faces of Death?
No, but now I feel I have to. Holy shit.
Yeah, dude, it's a sick movie. It's all about it's kind of like a documentary, and they show basically people dying. Like there's a Arab piece where they behead a guy.
Wow.
There's this famous scene where they're in this restaurant in India and they put a monkey with its head in a table,
Yeah.
cage underneath of it, and then the people who are eating take their hammers and they hit this live monkey on the head till it's dead, and then they cut the skull off. Yeah, it's a crazy ass movie. So this guy decides to put on Faces of Death, and he's watching it, and his back, he's on a swivel chair, and his back is to the door. Okay, so he's sitting there looking at his workspace at the movie, and my client comes in, and there is a sledgehammer, not a full one, but a mallet.
Yeah.
Okay, sitting by the door, and he just comes up to this guy and whacks him. First one right into the top of the head.
Holy shit.
Okay, he falls back, and then he hits him 3 times here. And basically, in the photo, you can see the head it's flat. It's normal from here, and then it's completely flat. And he kills him, and he walks out, drops the hammer over the side of the ship. Remember now, if you saw the photos, how nasty they are. So this guy has, brain matter all over him, right? Yeah. And blood on his shoes. He just walks back to his bunk bed and goes to sleep again.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, somebody finds this guy, in this state. This is a Naval Criminal Investigative Service photograph. There's the other one.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's upside down, I think. Yeah. I mean, you can...
Fuck.
Nasty. Yeah. They find him in that state. They call the military police, probably the Marines, and follow the blood trail back to this guy's bed. They wake him up. What are you talking about? Anyway, so
he didn't remember anything.
He says he didn't. Who knows? He's still in Leavenworth. He was sentenced to death in Spain, by military court. He got the death sentence, and we actually convinced the admiral to knock it off of death down to life imprisonment. Based upon the fact that this guy was, he was hammered when he did this. No pun intended.
Yeah.
He was fucking wasted when he killed that guy. But he's in Leavenworth, so I had to go out and visit him while he was out there. And interesting, when I went to see him in his cell. Now, Leavenworth is just like any prison, right? You walk through, and there's probably a hallway that's about, let's say, 10 feet wide.
Yeah.
And then on your left-hand side are the cells, and this particular one, there was like 3 rows of them, or 3 high, 3 or 4, floors of cells. And I remember there was a guy on a hunger strike in there. I don't remember what he was. It wasn't my client. He was on a hunger strike, and he was like a human skeleton. He was just like laying there in his cell, like completely emaciated. There was another cell there that was completely burned out. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And they said, somebody murdered him. He was a rat or whatever, and they, threw a bomb in his cell.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Oh my god!
This guy, he had glass doors. He didn't have bars. He had glass doors. Like I think I remember everyone on the first floor like had glass doors. I think because they were on like suicide watch, so you could see them all the time. Like, their cell was illuminated. I want to say they were all individually celled. I don't remember them being 2 people in a cell. But here's the interesting thing about my trip to Fort Leavenworth. So we're given a tour, and this soldier, he was a sergeant, like he was like an E7 or whatever. He's giving us a tour of the Leavenworth, and he's showing us like all this cool stuff. We even saw the Vietnam era prisoners from My Lai, right? There's dude, Lieutenant Calley, I think his name was, right? The guys who lit up that village. Yeah. They were all in there. But anyway, we're given a tour, and we get a tour of the death chamber at Leavenworth, okay? And they do it by lethal injection there.
Okay.
Right? And I swear to God, our tour guide goes, yeah, one of my duties here at the disciplinary barracks is to be a part of the death sentence. We're like, oh, wow. And he goes, yeah, man. He goes, I can't wait to do it. And we're all like,
holy shit.
Wait, what? We're like, what? He basically told us he couldn't wait to put somebody to death.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the wrong mindset to have. Like, I'm no liberal, but the last thing you want is somebody eager to put somebody to death. Yeah. Right?
Well, like, you know what, dude? I mean, unless it's self-defense, bro, that's. Look,
I'm just saying the executioner should not be.
Yeah, I'm pro death penalty, but
same here.
But shit, dude, to can't wait to kill somebody unless they, they're just animals and deserve to be killed. But even then, man, I don't know. I mean,
well, so here's the situation, okay? The president gives an order not to kill him at the last second. This guy's so jacked up, he
kills him anyways.
Kills him anyway, right? That's not what you want in an executioner. You want a person who says, okay, this is my job. I don't like it, but this is my job. Like, look, dude, I was a defense attorney in the military. I was representing murderers, rapists, and child abusers. Do you think I liked that?
Yeah.
No, but I did it, right? I did it, and I did the best job I could. Now, I did have one client who, I can tell you his name. Last name was Martinez. And the reason I can tell you his name is because I actually got him off of the charges. He had been convicted of murder at a court-martial, and I got it on appeal. And I'm reading the record of trial, and Martinez was a Hispanic guy, and his co-defendant, I can't remember his name, was some young black guy, and they were sailors in the Navy, right? And the night of the the crime, so to speak, they were driving around Norfolk, and they were looking for a party. And someone said, hey, there's a party, over here, whatever. So they drove over there, and they get out of the car, and they go into the party, and they realize they're the only minorities. Okay? He's Hispanic, his buddy's black. And it's all a bunch of white sailors. They start giving them a hard time. They start, giving them shit. Anyway, they get into a fight, and the fight spills outside of the apartment into the street, and they're fighting. And my client, Martinez, retreated, like, I'm not exaggerating, like 10 times. Retreated, tried to get away. He's getting his ass kicked. He's, running, and they would chase him down. They would whip his ass again, and he'd run away. And then finally he was able to get into his car. And they pulled him out of the car. They got back in. They pulled him out, and they were kicking his ass, the whole time. And he had in his car, he had
A gun.
brass knuckles with a knife.
With a spike. Oh, with a knife. Wow.
Yeah. And again, so he, after being, his ass being kicked like 20 times and being pulled out of the car, he was able to get this fighting fist going with the knife, and he
Killed somebody. Yeah.
killed somebody.
That's
So I'm reading the record of trial, and his lawyer, who was a civilian, not a Navy JAG, his lawyer was making the whole case about race. Like, race is not a defense to a murder charge.
Dude, that's self-defense, bro.
Self-defense. He completely missed the entire... He just wanted to make it about race. This lawyer wanted to make it about race. So anyway, we get it on appeal, and I argue this theory called ineffective assistance of counsel, which basically says, hey, court, the trial lawyer is such a fucking dumbass that he missed this entire defense.
Yeah.
Right? And the court agreed that the appellant's right. He had ineffective assistance of counsel, and they vacated the murder conviction. And he went back. It's interesting. He had served 8 years in Leavenworth. That's how long the appeal.
Holy shit, dude.
And
so what happens then? I mean, does he get back pay and all that shit?
So dig this. Yeah, so back then, okay, so he is restored to his E3 status, right? Active duty for the purpose of retrial. Well, they had to back pay him for 8 years. I remember talking to him. I'm like, look, dude, I said, you're going back to Norfolk for another trial. I said, but you're gonna have a deposit in your checking account of about almost $200,000 in back pay. So they got to back pay you. So thankfully, when he got back down to Norfolk, a young Navy lawyer was assigned that case, and he successfully argued to a jury self-defense, and he was found not guilty. But that cat spent 8 years in federal prison.
That's amazing. I know you got a hard stop at 2:00. It's 2:00, man.
Yeah.
And there's so much we had to talk about that we didn't even get to. So you gotta come back on again, and we gotta continue this conversation. It's been amazing. I know I want to talk about the decoys, the Civil War stuff, your gun collection, and some of the fun stuff that we did during COVID as well.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of legal shit in there that
Mr. Lou.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ! Remember
Bonnie?
Oh man, there were so many characters, man, that we met during that year. It was something else. But thank God we walked away with a pretty penny at the end of the day. So, but legally, man, I know you still talk to some people that are being hounded, chased, and screwed. So,
yeah, we can talk about that for sure.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you, man, and let's do it again soon because we got to continue that. I think it's super cool and it's got to get out there. So appreciate you. Thank you very much, Rod.
See you, bud.
Absolutely.
Oh, hey, forgot to show you this.
Oh, nice. Very nice. MAGA, brother, we live in a different world today than we did just 2 weeks ago, man.
This was for the Butler rally. So
that's right. Oh, that's right. You went to the return, right? You went to the turnout rally. So we got to talk about that. Your work in Pennsylvania. You've been working political elections for a long, long time. Obviously, Bush Gore back in 2000.
Yep.
So yeah, let's do it again, man. Let's do it next week. Let's talk about all that fun stuff, and we'll see you next week, man.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, bye.
Well, hope everybody enjoyed it. There was so much to talk about with Rod, and we easily would have gone 2-3 hours. We just didn't have the time. He had a hard stop at 2, so we're going to do it again next week, and it'll probably be a long one, and we're going to go into so much shit. First of all, elections. He's been doing political elections as a lawyer for a long time, specifically Pennsylvania, which everybody wants to hear about. We just didn't get there today, but we will next week. And maybe by next week it'll be resolved. Who knows? Fucking Pennsylvania's a shit show. But anyways, thanks everybody. We're going to see you tomorrow. It's going to be fun. We have our favorite Democrat joining us, Jose Aristimuño. He is my partner in crime. We used to have a show together. After 4 weeks, we got it to #1 on Sundays. After 7 weeks, It became the #1 show on Sundays in Spanish-speaking media. So he's coming on board. We're going to do a little debate. He's a former deputy director for the DNC and Obama spokesperson. So he was actually part of the Obama administration. And, he's still licking his wounds, man. And let's see what he says. It'll be fun. I'm pretty sure he's going to accept defeat like a man because they got their ass kicked. But you don't want to miss it tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. And don't forget to follow us on social media. IGH Going Rogue on Truth, on Getter, on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. Follow us. Tag 2 of your friends. Send us a message and qualify for the big prize that we're going to do December 15th. Either a Zacapa or a Basil Hayden, whichever one you choose. We will buy it at a local store near you or ship it to you. Whichever one works best for whoever. You do have to be of drinking age, so hopefully everybody that is watching is. And without further ado, man, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much.
Add an outro or outro with an ad?
Yes, you're right. Mr. Producer, thank you. Run that Mr. Pillow ad. We totally forgot about that. We got to run My Pillow one more time.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98, or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.